Skylanders, the series that I love very dearly, as some people will probably already know, hasn't had a new entry in, over 10 years by now? And as of recently, Toys for Bob, the developers of Skylanders, have left Activision, their parent company, in order to pursue an indie developer role. Now, I've been thinking for a while now, how can we get Skylanders to return to modern gaming? One option would of course be to just release a new game, but I don't think that will hold the same value as the old games have had. So what if we do it a different way and instead remake the original 6 Skylander games for new consoles? Now this already begs the question, how is this gonna go? Because you see, the core of Skylanders has always been the figures that you buy and play with. So how do you release that or re-release that for modern platforms and still have it hold that same value as before? The easy answer would be to just say, oh, but what if we just make new figures? If you want the company to go bankrupt in this current age, then sure, go ahead. But I don't think that's a very economically sustainable answer to the problem. So here's my idea for the potential of Skylander remakes on modern platforms. We make 2 different ways to play in this game. The first one being the Portal Master mode, in which the old players can still use their old figures and portals to play this game the same way as it was intended. Put the figures on the portal, hook the portal up to the game, boom, you're playing a Skylanders game. However, we also need to take in consideration new players, and they probably won't have either as many Skylanders or any Skylanders at all. So this is where I propose the digital mode of play. This will be a mode where you can unlock Skylanders throughout the game and have them in your sort of digital vault ready to play at a moment's notice. Now before anyone starts asking, oh, but what if I'm playing with my figures and I unlock a character that I don't have in my physical collection? Well, it's not that both of the modes are locked away if you choose either or. I'd say it's more of a hybrid option. You see, I think if you have your figures and have the data of said figures saved to the game as well as to the figure itself, you can still play in an all digital way without your figures, even if you were a Portal Master mode before. And this way you can also still play digitally with your old figures. And of course with that you could also say, have the game recognize which file size is the newer one and have both the figure and the game sync whenever a newer file is recognized. Now that would be the core of this remaster, remake, compilation game. The 2 different modes. So we both have the old players and the new players being able to either enjoy this game for the first time or playing through the games. Again, in a maybe more different or unique way. Now, the overall gameplay. This is where I'm gonna go on a bit of a limb and just spit out all my wishes that I have for this game, because I'm very passionate about Skylanders and I think there are some load of options that could be pulled off here. First off is the way you actually access the games. Compilations these days have a couple of options when it comes to how you enter the game for the first time. Stuff like the Metal Gear Solid collection has the option that all the games pop up on your console home menu, that you can select them individually and also buy them individually in the digital storefronts. This is lame and boring and I don't want it, because we're not purchasing these games individually, we're selling it as a collection. Or something like the Spyro Reignited trilogy that has the different games pop up as just regular main menu icons and you just select them, you hop in and that's the game. Which would be very much cheaper and easier to develop than what I'm going to propose here. So what if we make it an interactable hub world? You see, I played Imaginators recently and what I noticed is that all the levels are accessible, including the Skylanders Academy, from a single hub world. Now this got me thinking, what if we put all the main game hub worlds, so the Academy, the Ruins, Flint's ship, the Swap Force world, which I forget the name of every once in a while, and have them walkable to or like visible in this overall area. You could also have the racing portion and the Skylanders vault and maybe a museum for treasures and secrets, all accessible from this hub world. This will also give the possibility to remove the racing portion from each individual hub world from Superchargers and Imaginators and just put it in one single location. So you don't have to fill out all the different games with these specific mini games or whatever. As a matter of unlocking each game individually, I mean, I guess you could go multiple ways. You either have them all unlockable from the start, or you maybe have to play 1 level or 2 levels from game A to go to game B, then go to game C, or maybe you have to beat the entire game. I don't know. People like options these days, so I'm not really too sure on which way is the best way in this regard. Now let's go back to the different modes for a bit here. Because in all digital mode, it's the question of how do you get the Skylanders? I think that unlocking some 25% of the entire Skylanders cast, so from all 6 games, unlock those through the main story or main game, I think that would be very solid. And then have all the other ones be locked behind special missions, elemental gates, swap force challenges, Streptanium blockages, Giants Island pools, whatever. So you still have like a feeling of discovery and the secrets that you can find in these games. Because that's always been the fun of Skylanders, you know, getting that 100%, unlocking the treasure chest, getting the legendary treasures, finding soul gems, you know. If you include the Skylanders themselves in this process, it becomes a much more fun idea to actually unlock and play as them. Do note that I did not mention any microtransactions in this game. We are not doing microtransactions. Please, for the love of God, do not make me buy more Skylanders in order to play them in this game. I beg of you. And with all these games being developed and released at exactly the same time, with all the Skylanders being available in every game, you can also make it a bit more fun to have newer mechanics show up in older games. You want to race laps around the ruins in Hot Streak? Sure, it's here. Streptanium obstacles in Willikin villages? Done. Swap Force challenges in the Junkyard Isles? Yeah, why not? Sensei shrines in the Rift to Skylands? The options are plenty here now, because you can actually unlock the new Skylander and put them back in the old games because the files are there. The Skylander models are there. They can be playable in these old games, which could be very fun for a gameplay perspective, and especially a replay perspective for both the new players but also the old players who get to interact with these old worlds in a new and fun way. Now the question becomes, how does this actually work with the Skylanders in the game? The Portal Master Mode, very self-explanatory. Put the figures on the portal, they're in the game, you take them off them, they disappear. Easy enough. But in the all digital mode it becomes a bit more tricky. You see, Skylanders Imaginators on Switch had a system where you could actually load your figures into the game and then have them selectable from a menu option. But it was extremely clunky, didn't work at all. You couldn't even use the vehicles from Superchargers in the game. And it just took so long for figures to actually load. So what I'm proposing here, in the all digital mode and even for the Portal Master mode, I think it would be a very simple solution to use some of the extra buttons that we have on the controller. Skylanders is a very simple game, so you only have 3 attacking buttons, a jump button, you move around with the joystick, and you have a single additional action button for, you know, opening chests, putting keys in keyholes, interacting with other characters, that sort of stuff. So there's a load of other buttons on each controller that we can use for a hot swap idea. Now even just the D-pad would work for this. What if you had, before you start a level, you select 4 or 5 Skylanders to immediately take into the level. 1 is your active, and then 4 you have in your backup D-pad hotkey swap. During the level you can press a button on the D-pad in order to instantly swap out Skylander A for Skylander B without going through the portal animation, startup, tagline, whatever. This is a very similar idea to how the villains worked in Skylanders Trap Team. With a button press you could swap between the Skylander and the villain on the fly without going through a different animation. And now we can just stick to 5, but you can also maybe use 3 or 4 different hotkey tabs that you can swap between with the triggers. That way you can have up to 20 Skylanders available to you on a dime if you need it. And if they all die, then you can select your new 5 Skylanders or new 20 Skylanders, put them in your hot tab and continue with the level as follows. I think that it solved a very big problem that Imaginators on Switch had and that an all digital mode could technically have in a game like this. As for the Skylanders themselves, I do think it would be cool if you could just keep the levels from the old games, but having only a level cap at 20 for 6 different games is probably going to be a tough ask. So I'd say raise the level cap to 60, have 10 levels per game, and that'll probably solve it all. Now, whether old Skylanders will keep their old levels and stuff, that's gonna be a different thing. I guess you could keep it, but maybe the game will be so different in integrity that keeping the old Skylander files would probably mess with the game itself. But again, I'm not a technician here, so could be wrong on that part. Either way, I'd say level cap to 60, keep it that way, so you can at least have some balance throughout the games. Then there's of course the skill trees. Each different Skylander has different abilities, and especially the series Skylanders, so the repos from new games that used a Skylander from a previous game, had different abilities called wow cows. I think it'd be cool to have these as unlockables. I even think it'd be cool to have these as selectable options. So let's say Jetfag, right? We all love Jetfag, he's a very popular Skylander. He got an original, then a Lightcore in Giants, a Series 3, and Series 2 in Swap Force and Trap Team. And each different figure has a different ability set. well, at least one final ability. Now, what if, say, in Skylanders Giants, in the new remake collection, you unlock Jetpack's Soul Gem in the all digital mode. With this, you can now unlock one of the abilities that Jetpack's series figures have. So, the Shoot the Breeze ability or the Double Barrel ability. You can pick either one of these and then have that as your main ability for Jetpack. Because I think having both would probably not work, because they are very, very different from the main ability line and really change up how each character plays. And as for the Light Core, I think that could also be an ability, because the Light Core thing is just, oh, they appear in the game and they do a bunch of damage to enemies in the vicinity. It could also just be like an additional thing that every Skylander can get, but I don't know. I think having it as like a selectable from only the Light Core Skylanders from before could probably be more fun and more respectful to the source. Of course, the series Skylanders in the Portal Master mode would still work the same way. They would also appear on the screen like Turbo Jetpack or Full Blast Jetpack. I think for the digital mode, they would just be Jetpack, every single one of them. They wouldn't change their name, they wouldn't be Series 2, Series 3, Light Core, not even in the Skylanders world. There's just one Jetpack that has a different ability depending on what you choose. But the old Skylanders, the Light Core, the series, they would still have their name full on blasted when you put them on the portal and they're in the Skylanders vault. Of course, the Superchargers are exempt for this. They are basically just different characters entirely, which I kind of like, honestly. I think the Superchargers are the most fun variants we've had. And it's a shame they didn't continue this in the Imaginators. Alright, time for a quick rapid fire for some leftover wishes. First off, Legendaries, Dark and Nitro Skylanders will probably just be skins. I don't think it's worth having different characters for just a visual change. Just make them skins, like you unlock Spyro, you unlock Dark Spyro, you unlock Stealth Elf, you unlock Legendary Stealth Elf, you unlock Magnet Charge, you unlock Nitro Magnet Charge, even though it's kind of a funny skin, but I think it's fine. Have as much legacy content in this game as possible. All the Soul Gem videos, that's a requirement from my part. I love the Soul Gem videos. I want them in this game. I don't care if it's footage from the old games. I want them here. I want the Swapper table. I want the Villain Vault. I want Sky Stones. We're having all the Sky Stones versions. The one from Giants, Sky Stone Overdrive, Imaginators, which is whack. It's so bad. Also, I just want a consistent art style throughout each game. I know the original games all have different art styles and, directions because they were released on different platforms and over generations, but just one single art style over all the games, and I'm happy. Minor change, the minis from Trap Team, I want them to revert back to their sidekick variants. I think just having them float around, do like some little damage output or whatever, could be more fun than what they did with them in Imaginators. And sure, why not? Put the mobile games in here. Put Battlegrounds, Lost Islands, Cloud Patrol, Battlecast, the creator app from Imaginators. Put them all in the game. I don't care. Make them free updates post-launch. I'll pay for them. Hell, make it a $20 DLC bundle and I'd pay for this wholeheartedly. And yeah, I think that's all my wishes for a potential Skylanders remake collection. There's probably some other stuff here and there, but I think overall there is very much big potential for this game. I trust Toys for Bob. I mean, hey, they said that they are still in good terms with Xbox and Microsoft and Activision for them to borrow their IPs. And if there's ever a time for Toys for Bob to do another collection or remake for old games, it's now. Because they already did Spyro, they did Crash. Now it's time for their newer golden child to get the spotlight again. And I think there's one more thing. Because I haven't set the name for this collection yet, but I think there's only one name that could fit this entire collection. That's it, Ramble done.